Hello, welcome to the most dangerous podcast. How are you this week, James?
I'm all right, yeah, usual stuff, end of the week, shattered as per.
Yeah.
Um, 1 week closer to my departure of my current job, which is absolutely doing me head in at the moment. I'm like, I think it's bringing me down a bit, like having
Yeah.
to go there and just be there, knowing full well in like a few short weeks I won't be there anymore, having to like do stuff. So I'm feeling like I'm all right, just feel a bit meh.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than sort of having to do something when you've already checked out. It's Laura's actually handed her notice in her job, and she's got to stay there till September.
Yeah, similar sort
And
of thing,
it's
isn't
like,
it? It's just like, well, I don't want to be here anymore.
I know.
But so I'm all right. Just not been doing much. Did you watch the or any of the highlights of the US presidential debate yesterday?
No, no.
Did you not? Oh, right. Oh, that's a shame. You should go back and have a look. It's just, I mean, obviously Trump's a despicable human being,
Yeah,
but like Joe Biden, like I don't know, like there's been calls today for him to like step down because it doesn't look like he's got capacity to be like
it
president.
doesn't. No.
Like, you want to see the debate, man? He's just like, don't know what's going on. But yeah, have a look. Have a look. Like it's pretty good. And then obviously we've got the election coming up this week in this country, haven't we? So
Yes, yeah.
exciting politics stuff. Did you see? You probably don't. You don't pay much attention to it, do you?
No.
Nigel Farage got stung yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Well, not him personally, but
Mhm.
Channel 4 did like an undercover investigation into like people who are working or volunteering for the party, the Reform
Yeah.
Party, and basically, like, just everyone already knows that a lot of them are kind of like racists and stuff. And yeah, so like, there's a lot of people saying some nasty shit on there. Um, uh, Particularly one guy called Rishi Sunak a very nasty thing.
Oh, really?
But then Nigel Farage has come back today and said that it's all been set up by Channel 4 and
Yeah.
it's a big conspiracy. So Nigel Farage has definitely got his tinfoil hat on. So yeah, so all that to look forward to this week. So all
Fantastic. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday?
Thursday's the election, and then I've got the
Tuesday or
day off.
Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, so Thursday is the voting day. So if any listeners are in the UK and you undecided, just go and vote, please. Just try and get these Tory bastards out and just do your best. And yeah, so I've booked Friday off as well, so I'm going to do an all-nighter, I think, on
Yes.
Thursday and just watch it as the results come in, because I do quite like it.
Absolutely. Now, if you are a Tory voter, we still want you to listen to the podcast. So.
No, we don't.
What if all our listeners were Tory voters?
Well, I'm happy to die on this hill, and I'm happy to have no listeners rather than a Tory listener.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
How about you, man? What have you been up to?
Well, I've had. There's loads of stuff I could tell you about this week. I'll tell you two things. First of all, we do the cheerleading stuff. We've talked about that, and I have to say that I'm pleased that Erin, my stepdaughter, has won a national championship this evening.
Oh, congratulations! Well done.
Good, so
The national championship as well. That's not small fry, is it?
It's not, no. So I can't not give her a wee shout out for that. But yeah, the weirdest thing. Right, I've got a spooky story for you.
Okay.
I want you to cast your mind back to Humberstone, possibly. Humberstone, the haunted landmark.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Do you remember that episode?
Kind of, man. That's like a bit foggy. I don't know.
Have you had therapy to try and forget about that episode?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? But yeah,
it's like
maybe.
Creatures try and pretend that the album Lifeblood never happened. They never mention it or play any songs.
Yeah. No, I can't. Yeah, I'll have to give it another listen. But yeah. Okay, go on. I do vaguely remember it.
I told you a wee story. When I moved down, I was 3 years old, moved down from Scotland to Broughton. And we lived in a house, and my granny said that there was a man staring over in the bed. Cut a long story short, there was a ghost in the house.
Yeah, I remember that bit, yeah.
Okay, and then I told you the story that years later we read in the paper about a little girl that had seen a ghost. And when we read the story, it was the same street as that.
Yeah.
So basically, a couple of houses down, little girl seeing a ghost.
Right.
So many, many years later, I was out in a measure this morning in Broughton. Now, this road's like a crescent, so like a rainbow shape, okay?
Yeah.
And in the middle of that rainbow, there's a cul-de-sac. So it's another road, but the houses all back onto each other. It's in the same
I see, yeah. So it kind of goes, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I'm measuring for this lady and talking to her, and she said, actually, she says, I haven't lived here for a year because my partner lives in Ruthin, so I've been living with him, but I miss Chester. So I've moved back, and we're sort of living between the houses. She said, to tell you the truth, my partner doesn't really like staying here because on several occasions he's seen an old woman when he's got up during the night.
No.
And
Really?
basically, he said that the old woman terrified him, and then he saw pictures of her mother, and he was like, who's that lady? She said, that's my mother. Bear in mind, this lady was in her 60s.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's my mother. Obviously, she died many years ago. And he's like, that's the woman I keep seeing during the night.
No way.
Okay, so
Right.
I spoke to my mother this evening, and because she gave us a bed, long story, phoned her to say thanks for the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling her a story. I said, do you remember the ghosts in Somerford Road in Broughton? And she said, yeah, your granny had the man stand over the bed. She said, and also, she said, I've got two more stories. She said, I spoke to someone that lived in Somerford Road, and the babysitter said that they heard someone stomping about upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
switched the light on, flushed the toilet, and the toilet flushed while she was halfway up the stairs. When she got to the top of the stairs, both kids were in bed, completely sound asleep, not pretending to be asleep, completely sound asleep.
Wow.
And another friend of hers, years apart, um, their child kept talking about an old man that would sit at the foot of their bed and tell them stories during the night,
No
all in the
way.
same street.
All in the same street. This could be a thing. This could be a
How mad's that?
yeah. Wow. That's
There's
creepy.
your paranormal that you keep talking about.
Yeah, I like that. We'll have to speak off air about this. We might have to do an investigation, do
See if
some
there's a house to
research.
rent on Somerford Road, Broughton.
Yeah,
Now, my
absolutely fine,
mum,
isn't it?
my mum said to me tonight. She said, "Well, it was built on an old burial ground."
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now,
What ancient Indian burial ground theory?
yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how if that's just bullshit. My
That's what I
mum,
mean. We
my
could look
mum's one
into.
of those. She like bumps her head, and then 6 months later, she's telling the story, and she'd fractured her skull, And
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but yeah,
But I mean,
that was
that's easily. We
interesting.
could easily find that out. I mean,
Hmm.
we could look into this, and
See,
it's different houses. It's not the same house. It's
different houses,
different
but
houses
all the same street. Yeah.
in that area on that
So
particular street.
yeah, I mean, the lady today was technically on a different street, but her back garden backs onto the back garden of the house
Okay, so
in
it's
the
kind of the
street.
same area. If it was like a haunted plot of land,
Yeah.
you'd imagine it covered quite a lot. I mean, if they even
Um,
exist. But well, all
I'm
right, I like that. That's great.
I'm not a big paranormal believer, but these are all unconnected people all telling a similar story.
Yeah, I don't believe in any of it, but this is why I love it because no, I don't like this. I think it's all nonsense. But
Mhm.
like I think we've said many a time on we do sort of paranormal type shows. We kind of
Yeah.
say, well, if all these people are having the same experience, then they can't all be lying, can they?
No, no.
So I mean, I don't think it might not be paranormal, but something's happening there.
Mhm.
Maybe. Brilliant. Wow, I love it. Right, I'll make it a personal mission of mine to look into that further.
So if there's any listeners of ours that live round about Somerford Road in Broughton in Chester,
Yeah, that's a good shout.
tell us if you've had any experiences.
You tell us, which leads us nicely into the socials, I suppose. So if you want to get away, go ahead and do those.
Yeah, so the socials, we need followers. Come on, guys, share us on Facebook. Do what you can. So we're on Facebook, the Most Dangerous Podcast, on TikTok, YouTube, the usual, Instagram, all under the Most Dangerous Podcast. What we could do with you doing is, if you listen to this and you enjoy it, just tell a couple of friends. Just say, look, just listen to it, try it, share it
Share
on
the
your Facebook
share the
page.
love. I mean, it's completely free. We're doing it all this for free. We're not asking for any money from you. So just give it a listen, give it a
Yeah.
5-star review. Uh, follow us on all the various platforms,
Mhm.
and specifically this week and the following weeks, if you have lived in that area and
Yeah.
you've had any paranormal experiences, come on in. Let us know. We need to know.
Definitely. I mean, anything. You just send us an email if you've got a wee story you want us to tell or something you think we'll be interested in. Love to hear from you.
Definitely. Righto.
1 second. I know what you're going to say. It's dangerous news time, but I've got something else I need to get off my chest.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. So I was reading a story on Facebook about a guy that lived in a house in America and he kept a boat on his driveway. towards the back of his driveway. So the boat was level with the front of the house.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he had his driveway that the car pulled in and out of. And people in the neighborhood complained because they were sick of seeing the boat. Just a boat, fishing boat, not a big ugly thing. And he was told that he had to put a fence up to cover the boat up.
Yeah.
So he put a fence up, and he paid an artist to paint the fence with an exact replica of his boat.
Yeah, I did see this.
So when you look at the fence, it's just like it's not
looks
there.
Like looks like he's looking at the bed. Yeah, brilliant. Nice one.
Genius. Love him.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Had to tell you that story. Like, the world needs more people like that.
Yeah, just people just moan for the sake of moaning, don't they? I mean,
I know.
what difference does it make? You got a boat park there.
Did you know that Westminster Park, where we both grew up, there was a clause on that whole plot of land that no one was allowed a caravan in the driveway?
Really? That's quite common, you know.
Is
you know, yeah. So as you know, my job and stuff. So I have done property stuff before, and you do get clauses in certain deeds that say you can't have boats or caravans on your property.
Really? I didn't
know. You can't put sort of things in your window usually. You know, like flags outside, things like that. Yes, I mean, they're usually on like newer developments. Well, not newer, but you know, from 60s, 70s, and things like that. So, yeah, quite a common thing actually.
Right. Well, that leads us on to dangerous news.
It's dangerous news. Right then, Fraser, this week's dangerous news for our first story. This comes from HuffPost.com. It was published on the 26th of June, a couple of days ago. An Ohio jail accidentally frees murder suspect because of a typo. A man awaiting trial on an aggravated murder charge was mistakenly released from a county jail in Ohio this week due to a clerical error, authorities said. Oh no. A warrant was issued Tuesday for Amarin Sanders, 22, of Cleveland, who's being held at the Cuyahoga County Jail on a $1 million bail. He was mistakenly released on Monday after charges were dismissed against a man in an unrelated case, and that defendant's court case number was somehow entered incorrectly. So Sanders' trial was due to start on August 19th. He was charged with aggravated murder in connection with a September 2023 shooting in Cleveland and has maintained his evidence. His attorney did not immediately respond to the request for comment on Wednesday, and numerous county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, including the U.S. Marshal's Office, are involved for the hunt for Sanders. So he's still on the run.
So you have a legal background. I always used to think if they made a mistake and released you, then you were free to go. But obviously, he's not.
No, I don't do criminal law, but I don't think so. You can't just make it. I don't think it works like that. Did you see? This is from ages ago. I can't remember. So there was a guy on death row, and they put him in the chair. I'm not sure if it must have been electrocution, you know, somewhere like Texas or something. And they fired up the machine, electrocuted him, like turned it all off and the rest of it, and then he lived, he survived.
Right.
So he sort of died and then sort of came back to life somehow. And then he claimed, like, well, I've served my sentence now because I've died.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you got to release me because I've you know.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a point, hasn't
he? Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I just remember it somewhere.
Have you seen, it's one of the Arabic countries that if you get stoned to death, if you get out of the hole they've buried you in before you die and run away, then you're free to go.
Really?
But men are buried up to the waist, women are buried up to the neck.
Oh, right.
So, like, men have got a fighting chance of getting out of it and running away before they're killed.
I thought it was going to be a bit like the witch trials. So if you get out of it, then they just accuse you of like witchcraft and burn you. Right, okay, second story then. So this comes from the Daily Star. This was published today. It's a depressed slave robot hurls itself downstairs in a shock bid to end its life.
Wow.
So
A suicidal robot.
yeah,
It's like the first episode of Futurama, isn't Bender going to a suicide booth?
oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a depressed slave robot is feared to have committed suicide by hurling itself down a flight of stairs. The civil service cyborg. This is the Daily Star, so you've got to love the loaded language.
Yeah.
The civil service cyborg, which looked like a white bin with a screen on its side, was designed to deliver documents to residents. But it ended its life by chucking itself over the stairwell in South Korea after it blew a fuse from boredom while slaving away for the Gumi City Council. Witnesses said it was found smashed up after they saw it circling in one spot for some time. An official from Gumi Council in the southeast of South Korea said that there was a probe being launched into this cause of its suicide.
Wow. Didn't leave a note or anything, no?
No, it doesn't look like it. They added, pieces have been collected and they will be analysed.
Wow.
Staff said that the robot had helped with document deliveries and delivered information to local residents, with one of the pen pushers adding, it was one of us. It worked diligently. The bot was put into action last year and worked from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and it had its own civil service officer card. So yeah, incredible. I mean, it is incredible, but it just goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The rat race, the grind, it's killing us all. I mean, if robots, these highly intelligent robots are going, I can't be doing this. Like, how have we got a fighting chance?
Yeah, thought this, I'm out.
So that was story 2. And then story 3, just finally, this one comes from Newsweek.com from the 14th of June, so a few weeks back. A woman hit by a meteorite while having coffee with a friend. It's not.
Ow!
It's not. It's not what you think. It's not huge.
I used to think that, when they used to say people at football matches were throwing missiles, I used to fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like
and stuff.
Missiles, it just means like a biro out your pocket or a 50-pence piece or something. So is this going to be something like this?
Well, no, it is a meteorite, but
Right, okay. Wow.
So a woman in France recently enjoying a coffee with a friend was struck by a small meteorite in what is considered an extremely rare event, according to local news. The woman was chatting with a friend outside on a terrace when she was hit in the ribs by a mysterious pebble. So a meteorite into, it was only a tiny little thing. She said, I heard a big boom coming from the roof next to us. In the seconds that followed, I felt a shock in the ribs. At first, I thought it was an animal. The woman, who has not been identified, told the news outlet, we thought it was a piece of cement, I'm guessing, after they found the thing. After being struck by the rock, the French woman took it to a roofer for examination. She must have known a roofer. The roofer told her that it was not made from cement, but it looked like a meteorite. So, it's just a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
A roofer stroke astroscientist. She then showed the mysterious object to a geologist, and the geologist told her that the rock appeared to contain a mixture of iron and silicone and could be a meteorite.
Wow.
In total, all the pieces of the meteorite have been recovered, have a total mass of about 4 ounces.
Jeez.
So,
do they think it hit the roof first and then hit her?
Possibly, yeah. So it's just fallen from the sky and hit her somehow.
Because even a small meteorite coming out of the sky would do some damage, wouldn't it? If it hit
I guess so.
Directly.
Yeah, it's not the first case of someone being hit by a meteorite. So it is unusual.
Yeah.
So let me see what I've got here. Incidents of people purportedly being struck by meteorites have appeared throughout history, but there's often been a lack of evidence to back up these claims. The first confirmed case of a meteorite directly striking a person occurred in the United States almost 70 years ago. This involved Anne Hodges in Alabama, who was struck by an 8-pound stony meteorite that crashed through a roof.
8 pound?
Yeah.
Shit, was she dead?
In November 1954. No, left her with severe bruising.
What the hell?
So I don't think it must have not hit her directly.
No. I suppose if it came through a roof.
so that takes some of the impact
Slow
off. I
down,
suppose.
yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. So just be careful when you're walking out and about because you never know.
No. Wow. Amazing.
Right, okay, yep, that's it. That's this week's dangerous news.
Thanks for that, James.
Okay, right then, Fraser. As we all know now, the format is week by week we take it in turns to pick a subject, and that'll be the main subject of the podcast. This week it's you, Fraser. So I'll hand the reins over to you to proceed.
Thanks very much, James. Feels a little bit like, you know, when you got a baby and you're like, it's your turn to change his nappy.
yeah, it's your turn to do the night feed.
Yeah. So no, I was about 4 days ago. I had nothing, and I actually nearly texted you and said, "I've got nothing, man."
I've been in
And
that
then
position before.
yeah, and then something struck me, and it was an idea I had way back when we did our first format. We used to do the most dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember researching like the most dangerous place, and I found the most dangerous island in the world,
Right.
and I sort of revisited that, and it brought me onto tribes. So kind of proper indigenous tribes.
Yeah.
They still exist. There's some in the Amazon. There's some different places around the world that still live very much the sort of non-technological lives.
Yeah. Did you ever watch that Bruce Parry Tribe? I think it was called. It was
No.
like about 10 years ago. But basically, he just went and lived. He spent like a month or so with these type of
Did he?
tribes. Yeah, just out in the. You have to get there by boat, and then it's like
Yeah.
10-kilometer trek into the middle of the jungle and sit there for a month, just taking loads of mushrooms and stuff.
There's a couple. They send Carl Pilkington to a couple of them, don't they? It's one. There's like a tribe that worship Prince Philip and stuff like that. And
oh yeah, but I think they're more sort of like
yeah, they're
like
more
touristy
involved.
ones. Yeah, like this was like proper. Like he's like a proper anthropologist kind of.
Yeah.
He's done it for like research and he's like published books and stuff. But anyway,
wow. So I've been sort of looking into tribes, and the first thing I actually looked at is tribes around the world, and then I settled on one that we're going to talk about.
okay.
But while I was having a look at tribes around the world, I found some kind of mental rituals that they have, and probably shouldn't describe them as mental because I suppose it's their traditions.
That's
It's
it. They
not
probably
mental
think
for them.
Christmas is mental.
Yeah, but probably also not going to be listening to this, so not really bothered. So I just want to go through some of the rituals that I found because they all sound quite dangerous.
Right.
So have you ever seen? I saw like a YouTube video where a couple of guys visited this tribe and tried it out, and the guy that tried it out was basically begging for a hospital, and he said it took 2 days for the pain to go away. The Sateri Maui bullet ant glove ritual.
No, but I can guess what it entails.
Yeah. So you've seen that. We've talked about him before, that crazy guy that gets like stung by things.
Yeah.
And he does a bullet ant, lets a bullet ant sting him or bite him, and he's lying on the floor in agony.
Yeah, they're big bastards, them as well, aren't they? Like,
Yeah. So this ritual is basically the Sateri Maui tribe of Brazil. They're known for their harrowing bullet ant glove ritual, which is a rite of passage which marks a boy's transition into manhood. And what they've basically got to do is they've got to put their hands into gloves woven with hundreds of bullet ants,
nasty.
whose stings are known to be amongst the most painful in the world. The boys have to endure this agony for 10 minutes, experiencing intense pain, paralysis, and muscle spasms.
God.
And it's repeated up to 20 times over several months to test their courage and endurance.
At least it's the hand.
Well,
it could be worse if it's like a manhood thing.
I know, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. But yeah, I mean, I've never been bitten by a bullet ant, so I can't say. But apparently, it's supposed to be incredibly intense.
Yeah, well, that guy, I can never remember his name, whoever he is, he said the bullet ant was up there with one of the worst.
Yeah. There's like loads of them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, don't fancy that.
No.
So, another one, the Yanomami endocannibalism ritual.
I bet you're glad you picked this subject now, aren't you?
I know, yeah. Like I said, they won't be listening. They're going to phone up and say, you got my name wrong. So I'm going to give it the best go I can. So the Yanomami tribe in the Amazon rainforest, so again, Brazil and Venezuela, One of their most unsettling practices is endocannibalism. And basically, what they do is one of the relatives die, they cremate them, and they mix their ashes into a bowl of banana soup, and then the whole community consumes them.
Oh, really? Okay.
So,
That's not too bad. Didn't Johnny, what's his name from the Rolling Stones, the guitarist,
Keith Richards,
Keith Richards? Didn't he snort his dad's ashes?
I think he did, yeah, apparently so.
So it's kind of like a similar sort of thing,
Yeah.
isn't
It's a lot to snort, though. My granddad came in like a giant, like a big quality street tub.
it? Yeah, maybe he didn't do it all.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Moving on, there's the Dani tribe finger amputation. So in the highlands of Papua and Indonesia, the Dani tribe are known for their practice of finger amputation. The ritual is performed as an expression of grief and mourning for deceased loved ones. Women in particular are subjected to having a portion of their finger amputated.
But why?
So, yeah. It's because of grief.
Okay,
Have you never like lost a loved one and thought, I need to cut a bit of my finger off now?
cut my finger off.
Yeah.
No.
And it's actually, they tie a bit of string tightly around the finger to numb it, and then basically they amputate it. And the severed finger is burnt to prevent malevolent spirits from haunting the living.
Wow, it's mad how I wonder where that's come from.
I know.
Yeah, like over time, obviously it's been a thing that's been going on for centuries.
Who thought this is a good
Who
idea?
thought that's like you'd do this? Yeah, weird.
Someone just for a laugh, I think. Possibly like a joke that went too far.
It's like when you do that thing when you were a kid and you put a piece of string around your finger for ages and it goes purple.
Yeah.
They were doing that.
So two more. The Koraway treehouse funerals. So this is back in Indonesia again. The Karaway tribe practices a unique form of funeral ritual. They're known for living in tree houses, often built as high as 140 feet off the ground. And when a member of the tribe dies, their body is placed in a tree house and left to decompose, basically until they start falling off the tree house down to the ground, where they become at one with the earth.
Right.
So they basically just shove Granny up in a tree until she rots.
Until the whole treehouse rots. They live in a treehouse. That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd live in a tree house. That would be nice.
Like Ewoks.
Yeah. It was an Endor or something. Yeah. And the last one I'm going to talk about is the ritual of penis stripping.
Oh no! So I knew this was going to happen. I knew we'd end up in this territory.
Willies.
Bums. I thought bums would be in there somewhere.
Penis stripping involves making a longitudinal incision along the underside of the penis. This ritual is most commonly associated with the Arenti people of Australia and marks a boy's transition into adulthood. The ceremony is attended by the tribe's elders and other community members. The boy, often in his early teens, is prepared through various rites that emphasize courage and resilience. An elder, respected for his skill, performs the subincision with a sharp stone or a knife. The process is extremely painful and carries significant risks, testing the boy's readiness to assume adult responsibilities.
So what, do they just kind of scar it? Like,
they strip a big bit of skin off the bottom of the willy.
Oh.
I've seen a video of this many years ago.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course you have. I knew you would.
It was one of those things that I think like Rich sent me this video going, look at this, right? So I watched the guy getting his skin stripped off his knob, and I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And he texted me back going, what was it? I didn't want to look. I was like, you bastard.
Right. Okay. Well. So yeah. So it's because from the sounds of things, I thought it was just kind of like a scar up the shaft.
It's like probably like about a centimetre width of skin gets stripped off.
Fucking hell. No thanks.
It says to get them ready for adulthood, but that's really preventing them from enjoying adulthood, really, isn't it?
I don't want to be an adult.
I know. I don't really want to.
That's not even related to this. I'm just talking. I'm just thinking out.
Just don't want to be an adult. So where we're moving to is a tribe that I think you've probably heard of, and it's one of the few places in the world that where humans are. It's one of the few places in the world where most of us are actually banned from going, and it's North Sentinel Island. Have you heard of it?
Uh, no, North Sentinel. Let's have a
So
think.
you'll have seen a photograph of taken from a helicopter or a drone of a beach with a load of native people shaking spears
Yeah,
and bows and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
arrows and stuff as
I
if
know it
going
now.
fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So North Sentinel Island is actually it's governed by India. It's actually an Indian island, but it is closer to Indonesia and Asia. So if
Hmm.
you go from India away to the east, it's in that Indian Ocean, I suppose, close to Indonesia, and it is an Indian colony. But the Indian government have actually literally said to the world, no one can go to this island.
Yeah, it's too
It's
dangerous.
out of bounds. Yeah, and it's not just too dangerous. It's to protect the Sentinelese people that live on there as well,
It's too dangerous,
because
isn't it?
yeah, it's too dangerous. Yeah, I
it's,
mean
not, it's not for their protection. Let's
it
be
is and
honest.
it isn't. If we went in there with 10,000 soldiers and machine guns, it wouldn't be
Oh
dangerous.
yeah,
But
fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of don't go there on your own. So what I want to talk about is North Sentinel Island and the Sentinelese people.
Cool.
So are you ready?
I'm ready. I don't know much about this, so this will be good.
Right, James. So let's talk about North Sentinel Island. North Sentinel Island, part of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal, is home to the Sentinelese people, one of the world's last uncontacted tribes. The island is approximately 23 square miles in size, covered in dense forest and surrounded by coral reefs that make navigation treacherous. The history of North Sentinel Island is shrouded in mystery largely because of the Sentinelese's staunch isolation from the outside world. The first recorded mention of the Sentinelese, wish I didn't have to keep saying Sentinelese, dates back to the late 18th century when British surveyor John Ritchie observed lights on the island from a distance. Over the following decades, various colonial expeditions attempted to make contact, but the Sentinelese consistently responded with hostility. In 1880, British officer Maurice Vidal Portman, accompanied by an armed party, landed on the island. This is awful. They kidnapped 6 Sentinelese individuals, 2 adults and 4 children. The adults quickly fell ill and died, prompting Portman to return the children to the island with gifts. This tragic encounter only reinforced the Sentinelese suspicion of outsiders.
Yeah, it's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, it's kind of like, well, you've messed about a bit there, and now 2 of our men are dead.
yeah. Now
So,
I read more into it. It was an older couple.
right,
So it
it's
was like an older man and woman and 4 children that they took. And this is one of the reasons we shouldn't go there is within days of them being in amongst, I say us, the rest of the world,
hmm
they couldn't cope with our diseases and illnesses
yeah,
that
a
we
similar thing happened in North America, I think, didn't it?
did
With,
it.
I think so, with the Native Americans with
Oh right,
smallpox.
yeah.
So when like there's an indigenous tribe of people
Hmm.
and they'll make contact with white people, I suppose, in this circumstance, by the sounds of things, and in that circumstance,
Yeah.
obviously there's certain diseases that they've not been subject to, which
Hmm.
sounds like what's happened here, and obviously the body can't cope with that.
That's it. I mean, a cold can be deadly.
Yeah, if they've not subject, I mean, like that's the whole vaccine thing, isn't it? A vaccine is
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
a small dose of the disease, so if you've never been exposed to it ever,
No.
then it's going to have a massive impact.
And as we evolve through thousands of years, our parents then give us their immune system that they've, it's passed on through generations, whereas
Yeah,
they've been isolated for 40, 50,000 years, then
mm.
they've not got that.
Yeah. It's surprising. It was like days. It's the sort of immediately like shit.
That's it. I've read a couple of different reports, and all of them say within days. So that
Yeah,
seems to be.
I mean that sort of backs up your point there about people
Mhm.
just don't go there
I
because
know.
that I mean, that tribe would just die out if people
I
go
know.
there. So
Nothing to gain.
yeah,
It's a little island, it's not. There's nothing to gain. Just leave them alone. Uh, we'll get to that. So, throughout the 20th century, several attempts were made to contact the Sentinelese, mostly by the Indian government. In the 1960s, anthropologist T.N. Pandit led expeditions to the island, leaving gifts in an attempt to establish peaceful contact. Although there were moments of cautious curiosity, the Sentinelese never embraced sustained interaction. In fact, by the 1990s, the Indian government decided to cease attempts at a contact and declared the island a protected area, prohibiting travel within 3 nautical miles of its shores.
Good for them.
Yeah, and what I read again about that, it was obviously longer versions of this story, is they actually took like coconuts and gifts to them. And the first lot of coconuts and gifts and stuff they took, the Sentinelese took them off them. And as soon as the people that had visited the island moved away, they dug a hole in the beach and they buried it all. They just wanted rid of it, just didn't want it.
Could be like a fear thing, I suppose. If they,
I
imagine that the original story of like, oh well, they took 4 or 5 of our people, 2 of them died because they got ill. You know, I imagine the sort of the legend sort of, I don't know, making it up. You'd assume that the legend sort of carries on, so any sort of contact with dangerous people, you know,
it's just cursed, isn't it?
Mm.
But there are photographs. There were times where the Sentinelese people did come and they took coconuts off them, but at the same time, there were always some of them aiming bows and arrows, and sometimes they did lose some of the arrows and stuff like that. They were like, yeah, we'll take your coconuts, but don't come near us, sort of thing.
Well, surely they've got coconuts there, haven't they?
I don't know. I suppose so. Maybe. And the Indian government actually, I think to this day, they actually just patrol the island on boats.
Just stop anyone trying to get access it.
Yeah. That's it. So the Sentinelese isolation has preserved their way of life for thousands of years, allowing them to remain largely unaffected by modern civilization. This isolation, however, comes with inherent dangers both for the Sentinelese and any who might attempt to visit their island. The most significant danger posed by North Sentinel Island is the Sentinelese themselves. Fiercely protective of their territory, they have been known to attack intruders with arrows and spears. This aggression is not born out of malice, but rather a deep-seated need to defend their home and culture from external threats. So exactly what you said.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what the population is? Are you going to come on to that?
There's
no idea.
Because, I mean, obviously it's a 23 square mile island, so they've got to have a maximum population that they can have on there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because it's covered in dense woodlands, there could be 10,000, there could be 100 people there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, you know, if there's not that many, then you know, cousins marrying and that. It's a bit.
Oh yeah, true.
That causes problems, doesn't it?
It does, but like I said, there must be like a critical number, because they might never be able to go over 1,000, because then they'd run out of the food regenerating and stuff like that. And
I'm sure there's some sort of scientific study being done.
Yeah, there must be. In addition to the threat from the Sentinelese, the island's geographical features add another layer of peril. The surrounding coral reefs can tear apart boats, and the dense forest makes navigation on the island difficult and disorientating. Moreover, the lack of modern medical facilities and the risk of introducing diseases to the uncontacted tribe further complicate any attempts at interaction. And it's basically there's like this coral that surrounds the island, so big boats can't get anywhere near it because it just rips up the boat underneath.
Yeah.
And I suppose what it's saying is you can't get a big boat full of people to the island with guns to go and shoot them all. You'd have to go on in little boats, and once you get there, they probably know that woodland inside out. It's like the Vietnam War, you know.
That'd be, imagine that. That'd make a good film, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
you know, they're just all kind of like hidden in the trees and like in traps and stuff. And like,
well, yeah, that'd be quite cool, actually. Good idea. So we're going to look at some tragic encounters. Over the years, there have been several tragic encounters between the Sentinelese and outsiders. One notable incident occurred in 1981, involving the ship MV Primrose. The cargo vessel ran aground on a coral reef near North Sentinel Island during a severe storm. The crew initially thought they were safe on the wreck until they noticed the Sentinelese gathering on the beach, armed with spears and arrows.
Oh shit.
uh, Captain.
Yeah, it's like that Zulu film. You seen that? It's an old one, that Michael Caine.
No, I haven't. No.
They're all on the hill, and because it's a true story. I'm going off
Yeah.
tangent here. It's a true story, but it's like in Africa somewhere. It's like a
Yeah.
British station, and like there's only like so many British soldiers, and there's just like thousands. That's one of the lines. Like Zulus, thousands of them. It's like thousands and thousands of these like tribal people just up on the hill. You're like, and they're all like, shit.
Yeah, we need to start running.
Well, they're surrounded. But yeah,
Are they surrounded?
Yeah, it's a good film. Watch it.
The crew radioed for urgent help, and while they managed to fend off the Sentinelese with flares, their situation was precarious. After a tense standoff, the crew was eventually rescued by helicopter, but the incident underscored the islanders' determination to protect their territory.
It's mad that this was 1981.
Yeah.
It sounds really kind of 1700s, doesn't it?
It
like,
does, doesn't
like
it?
shipwrecked, and there's like these tribal people trying to sort of invade. Yeah, it's what's that? 40 odd years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like it just seems sort of out of the time zone.
Yeah, so you're thinking big wooden ship with sails and stuff. It's probably like a metal, but that just shows you, even in 1981, how dangerous the waters are around the island. If a big modern ship can get ripped apart on it.
Mm.
Another tragic event occurred in 2006 when two fishermen, Sundar Raj and Pandit Tiwari, were killed by the Sentinelese. The men were illegally fishing in the area, and their boat accidentally drifted onto the island shores while they were asleep.
Oh no.
When the Sentinelese approached, the fishermen were brutally attacked and killed. The Indian Coast Guard attempted to retrieve the bodies, but were driven off by a hail of arrows. The bodies were never recovered, serving as a stark warning to the others who might venture too close.
Oh, bloody hell.
Again,
did they eat them? Oh, you don't know, do you?
Every time I've read about them killing people, they always bury them.
Oh, do they? So that like cannibals now?
No, because there's always rumours about these like cannibal tribes and stuff, but there's no evidence of the Sentinelese ever actually being cannibals. Right. And I think, again, there's probably an infection sort of thing there, that they probably just see us as outsiders and don't want to eat us. Maybe they eat each other.
That's a good point.
I think it's just, we just don't want you near our island, bury in the sand, forget about you. I read a bit more about that, and they actually debated whether or not they were going to try them for murder, because essentially that's what they've done. And I was like, first of all, it's their land, it's their country. We were trespassing, or they were trespassing, and they killed them. Can they be legally tried for murder? Really?
It's not a nation, is it? It's not a sort of nation state. I don't think it's recognised as a nation state. It's part of India.
Yeah.
So I'd say arguably yes, they could, because they're citizens of India, I guess. So they'd be tried under Indian law. But you know, if you want to be the arrested officer to go and get the guy, be my guest. You know.
But there'd be no way of working out which Sentinelese guy actually. And I thought about this. I thought they're so far removed from us that they wouldn't even know to nod for yes and shake their head for no.
Yeah, probably. Like, you just wouldn't be able to communicate to them. They wouldn't understand what they were being charged and stuff. So, yeah, I don't think you would, because I think when it comes to sort of criminal trials and convictions and things like that, I think you have to have some knowledge as to what you're being charged with. You know? And if you don't have capacity to understand that, then you can't be. I think, like I said, it's not my area, but I think you have to at least have capacity. That's why you get people who get sectioned under the Mental Health Act and things like that, because they don't understand what's happened. So I guess that's probably a similar sort of thing. Even though they're not crazy, it's just that they just don't get it.
Yeah. I remember Ricky Gervais trying to explain to Carl Pilkington that if a lion could speak English, we still wouldn't know what he was saying, because we're so far removed from his life.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, yeah,
and it's like it's kind of like that. Like, there's not even like any common language or anything. You wouldn't know even how to begin communicating with them.
Mm.
It'd be so difficult. Um, so I'm going to tell you on a little side story about a chap called John Allen Chau. So John Allen Chau was a 26-year-old American missionary with a passion for adventure and a profound desire to spread Christianity to remote tribes.
How'd this work out for him?
Not very well, James. Born into a family with deep religious convictions, Chow was inspired by missionaries like David Livingstone and Jim Elliot. He prepared for years to contact the Sentinelese, learning survival skills, studying linguistics, and receiving vaccinations to minimize the risk of transmitting diseases. In November 2018, this is recently,
This is really recent, yeah.
yeah, Chow made his first attempt to reach the island. He bribed local fishermen to take him near the island, breaching Indian laws that were prohibited such contact. On his initial approach, he was met with hostility as an arrow struck his Bible. Now, again,
Was it in his top pocket? That would have been good, wouldn't it?
no, he was holding out in front of him. There's a diary. Again, this podcast could be 10 hours long. You can actually read his diary, because as he went to the island and he went back to the boat, he wrote this in his diary, and he said that he's convinced it was a child that shot the arrow at him.
Mm-hmm.
So he went holding up a Bible, and he took some gifts as usual, a bit of fish and some coconuts and stuff. And they kind of didn't really do anything. They all just stared at him, and one child just let an arrow go, and it shot it right in the middle of the Bible that he was holding.
Wow.
So I think it was a warning shot. It was
Yeah.
a fuck off, because these people, they hunt moving animals with these arrows. They could have shot him right between the eyes if they wanted to.
Yeah, I guess so. What, you reckon it's deliberately aimed for the Bible?
Yeah, not because they knew what he seems to think that the island was the last staircase to hell and all this and the devil's work, and he thought that they were trying to destroy the Bible because it was the holy book. But basically, he'd obviously gone holding this Bible out, and they go, take that off our island and shoot an arrow through it.
Yeah. I mean, like we're saying, like they don't even know what it is.
How are they going to read it?
Yeah, they don't know what it is. It's not like blasphemy. It's like, oh, the Bible, shoot the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, so it's clearly not that, is it? They're just kind of, like you say, fuck off, this is ours.
Yeah. So it was like they think it was a warning shot. So on November the 16th, 2018, Chow made his final journey to the island. He instructed the fishermen to leave and return later. This time he did not return. The fishermen later reported seeing the Sentinelese dragging his body along the beach and burying him in the sand.
Yeah, well, what an idiot.
I know. Chow's death sparked international debate about the ethics of contacting uncontacted tribes and the risks posed by such missions. His story serves as a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between cultural preservation and the dangers of modern intrusion.
Like, this is why, right? This is the thing that I'm sort of that's going on in my head now. Why do you want to contact them? But to spread the word of God? Fuck off. They don't need that. Like, why? This is purely for selfish reasons. This is not to enhance the tribe's lives. This is not the tribe's people's lives. This is not to, to make their lives any better or anything like that. Or it probably is in his view.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's his goal, his selfishness. It's what he wants. So why even bother? Just leave him alone.
I told you we'd have a discussion about this. You're absolutely right, and it got me angry. Now that's the formal bit of my story, right? But like I said, I've listened to a couple of other people's takes on this. I've read some stories about it, and basically, this guy, they said, did he actually have what they call the God complex, that he could go and be this messiah to this island?
I'll be the one. I'll sort it.
Did he want to be the savior? And he took with him, it actually says that he took these gifts, the coconuts and the fish and stuff like that, and he took 6 waterproof Bibles. And I keep thinking about it, I think these people have got on they think it's something like 40 to 50,000 years.
Yeah, they're fine.
They must have been on this island. They're fine. They're getting
doing
on
all
fine.
right. They're still there,
Yeah.
Paradise, probably.
Last thing they need's God,
Yeah,
Bibles, religion.
exactly.
It's absolutely the last thing they need. See if you want to take anything, take a big box of bandages in case they hurt themselves, and then they've got something to help them heal their wounds. But they've
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
got
yeah.
stuff anyway, particular leaves that they use and stuff like that. Take anything, something useful,
Some
box of matches.
arrowheads for him. Here you go. Use them.
Yeah. Now, what they're saying is they think that the Sentinelese they haven't actually all the metal they've got that they make their arrowheads of have been salvaged from wrecked boats and stuff.
Hmm.
So they don't even have the capability to create iron or to dig it out the ground
Yeah,
or
well, I was thinking it's probably
smelt
more
it and
sort of
stuff.
sharp sticks than actual
Yeah.
full-on proper old school
Um,
arrows. Yeah,
they do have arrowheads, iron arrowheads, but it is all salvaged stuff.
yeah, yeah.
They actually even think that they don't know quite how to start fire and stuff like that
Really?
because
They
on
must
sort
do.
of
They must do. Surely.
well, I think the they probably have ways of doing it, but not because they say they very rarely see fire.
Yeah.
It's
But then
not
they
not
must
a
have.
common occurrence.
Yeah, but you have to cook things though. You can't
Not if
unless
you've
their
evolved
bodies have
for
like. Yeah, unless their bodies have evolved to eat sort of
yeah,
raw meat and veg
lions and
and things.
tigers don't cook things, do they? And it's just
Yeah, but that's different. It's different that though.
it's like how they say if you've got to cook chicken because of salmonella, but if you cut a chicken's head off now and ripped it apart and ate its flesh, you wouldn't get salmonella. The salmonella happens in the 2, 3, 4 days between it being killed
Mm-hmm.
and it getting to your plate. If you ate a chicken raw as soon as you killed it,
I don't know about this.
doesn't quite have the same.
I don't.
Not as dirty.
I'm not sort of sciencey enough to know about this, but I just
Mm.
think the human body as it is,
Hmm.
I think you do need to cook things. I'm quite sure. I don't know.
Or you can eat raw steak, certainly.
Yeah, how many cows are knocking around that island though?
Yeah, true.
Fish, maybe. I suppose raw fish is a thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
they could. I mean, they could be surviving on fruit, plants, fish.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we
Might
might
not.
not need it, but then
Might not be any
Indian
animals
Ocean.
on the island, like pigs and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, and then I suppose where it is, it's probably warm
hmm
a lot of the year as well, so you don't need heat.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this guy. People, people try to contact this tribe. I don't understand. I
Hmm.
kind of, I understand the scientific side of it, right? Like
Yeah.
it. This is what would have happened if nothing developed, if that makes sense. If we didn't have the Industrial Revolution,
Hmm.
if we didn't have religion, if we didn't create religion or sort of mainstream religion, I suppose. I bet they've got some sort of religious concept, like there must be sort of God or I imagine because that just seems to be the human notion.
Yeah,
Human,
there'll be probably a tribe leader and stuff like that, and
yeah, like a hierarchical system.
yeah,
I guess.
I think.
So I understand like the need to sort of research it for
Mhm.
scientific purposes because I think it's interesting, like that sort of thing, to see what
Yeah.
society would be like if it was just brought back to the dark age or the Stone Ages, I guess.
Mhm.
But people going over there, like missionaries going over there to try and convert them to the ways of God and stuff, like
Yeah,
they can just fuck right off, in my opinion.
I know it's mental,
There's
isn't it?
no reason for them to go there at all.
No, no.
So the only people who should have any interest in this place or should be potentially allowed any access, but I'm even conflicted over this, potentially be allowed any access are scientists who are going there to study how life works and
Mhm.
how potentially it could have been if our society didn't develop in the way that it has.
Yeah. See, I thought about that, and I thought, right, how do you do it, right? Because you can't communicate with them, so you can't say, look, 4 people are going to come on your island. We're just going to wander about. We're going to touch anything, disrupt anything, have a look, film some stuff. We'll fuck off. But even that, you could introduce disease to them and kill
Yeah,
them.
exactly. So the best thing to do is nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, just leave them be. Leave them be. And it's like this human curiosity, though, isn't it? There's always one dick that thinks, right, I want to be the one that will go and find out about it.
Yeah.
But they need to be left alone. There's more tribes like that. There's quite a few in the Amazon rainforest and stuff.
Yeah.
But because I think what's different with this one is the ones that live in the rainforest to a degree have had to have contact. And we try and leave them alone, but there's that little bit of contact.
I don't think there's many in the Amazon anymore. I mean, we don't know because it's so big,
Mm-hmm.
so fast. I think it was a few years ago where there was a photograph of a tribe which had never been contacted before.
All right.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was supposed to say 5
Mhm.
years ago. Time is so weird at the moment. It might have been 10. It might have been 5 years, 10 years ago. I don't know. Yeah, there was a aerial photograph, and it was
I
this
think I
tribe.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like no one's ever spoke to this tribe before. So there's got to be a fair
Mhm.
few sort of spread around. But like you say, yeah, because of the way that sort of logging exports and things like that and logging companies
Mhm.
work there, the more and more the forest gets not taken down, the more and
Mhm.
more they make contact with these tribes because they're closer to civilization.
Yeah.
But yeah, this tribe is particularly different because it's on an island. You know,
That's it.
you're not gonna. The only way you contact them is by sea,
Mhm.
and they see you coming, basically. So
Yeah. It's I wanted to cover it. I thought it was really interesting. And this John Allen Chau, I have absolutely no sympathy for this prick because, like I said, it's this like God complex.
yeah, it's
Because
an ego thing. Like
it is.
obviously it's sad when people die. We don't promote that sort of stuff on this podcast. Of course, we don't like.
No.
We don't like people. We hearing about people who get
Mhm.
hurt or killed or whatever. But yeah, if you've got this ego, this like you said, God complex type thing, then
Mhm.
it can serve you right, mate. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't need to die. I mean, if he ran away with an arrow in his arse cheek or something, that would have sufficed.
He was
Learn your
warned.
lesson.
He was warned.
He was true.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
When he broke an international treaty going there in the first place.
Exactly. So he broke the
So
law. He was
yeah,
warned not to go there, and he did it anyway, and he ended up doing it.
absolutely.
So unlucky
What,
pal.
what a prick. Now, again, I do suggest if you get the time to listen a little bit more in depth to like his diary excerpts and stuff like that, because the one of the last things he writes is Uh, God, I know that this is my mission and I have to do this. I think, I did think maybe I should retreat and someone else should try, but I think I am the one to do this. I am the
Yeah.
one to bring you to these people and all this bullshit. And he's like, if I die tomorrow, then I know that's your will and all this sort of stuff.
Psycho. Yeah.
Psycho, I know.
Narcissist.
Yeah,
So they don't need God. They don't want it. They don't need him,
I know.
her, it, whatever. Just
Mhm.
leave them alone.
Yeah.
Let them be. Good for them. I mean, I'm quite interested in it though. It'd be good to have be good to see what it looks like on there. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
go.
well,
Maybe I'm the one.
maybe you're the one. Yeah, that's it. The only thing I thought is nowadays with technology, could we get a couple of drones on there or something just to have a little look
Just
around?
fucking leave him alone. Just
But
fucking
I know
just why? I mean,
that's
I'm
it.
curious, but I'm just also like,
Yeah,
fuck it, leave it. Like, forget it.
the drone falls down, goes on fire, burns the island down.
Yeah, they're
Fucked
all
them.
dead. Yeah.
I know, but yeah, that's
Right.
just a little bit about the Sentinelese people, the
It's
most
cool.
dangerous
Yeah.
island in the world.
I'm going to check it. I'm going to have a look on Google Maps where it is as well. So I
Mhm.
think I've got a vague idea, but just double check. So brilliant. Yeah. Well done. Thank you very
It's
much.
India, Indonesia, and you come across from India, just off the coast of Indonesia and
Yeah.
that kind of
So it's
Asian,
right
all
at the
those
edge of the
little
sea.
bits of islands that come down. But if you type in North Sentinel Island, Google does know where it is.
Yeah. All right. I'll check it out. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. A long one this week by the looks of things, unless it comes out in the edit.
Yeah, a bit of that will come out. I've got one last promise to do tonight. Hi, Tyler. Good listener to the show. You've met Tyler. He's my friend. He was at my wedding. My Welsh
really?
friend lives down in Cardiff.
Oh, hi, mate. Yeah. A long
Yeah,
time no speak or see.
lovely
But
guy.
yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
Hasn't
Uh,
missed an episode. Likes to text me little things about. He's the one that sent me the message with the pirate and the finger and the laughing emoji.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, keep on listening. Thanks very much for your support.
So
And we've got another announcement, actually, haven't we? We've got a new manager.
yes, yeah, we've got a
Uh,
new manager.
We've got a new manager. His name's Murray. So
Yeah.
shout out to Murray for being our new manager. Thanks for all your support, Murray, and your little videos.
Yeah.
Really do appreciate it. Keep it up.
Murray will get us up to 250,000 views,
I
like he
hope
has
so.
done on YouTube. Yeah.
I hope so. Good lad.
I think
Nothing else from me, I don't think.
no, that's it. That's it. Enjoyed doing it. I didn't know I was doing it till like maybe Wednesday, but I enjoyed doing it. There's loads and loads and loads that you can look into on these people. But there isn't actually much information. But there's a lot of information about people that tried to find information and came back with arrows in them.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
There's more stories. It's an interesting island, but I think we should leave it alone. Definitely.
Yeah, let's leave it alone and let's
Mhm.
leave the pod
Yes.
for this week. All right.
That's
Thanks for your time again, Fraser. Have a good week. I'll see you next time.
you too. That's been the Most Dangerous Podcast. Take care, James. Bye bye.